The carefree spirit of the 1960s gave way to a more turbulent era as the 1970s dawned. The global political landscape was shifting, economic uncertainty loomed, and the once mighty British auto industry found itself grappling with a confluence of challenges that threatened to derail its progress. Labour unrest, fueled by stagnant wages and rising inflation, led to a wave of strikes that crippled production lines across the UK. Meanwhile, a global energy crisis, triggered by soaring oil prices, forced drivers to reconsider their love affair with gas-guzzling vehicles, casting a shadow over the future of performance car brands like MG. Adding to MG's woes was the increasingly competitive global automotive landscape. Japanese automakers, renowned for their fuel-efficient designs and reputation for reliability, were rapidly gaining market share, while European rivals were raising the bar with innovative new models that challenged MG's position in the sports car market. The once clear waters of the automotive world were becoming increasingly choppy, and MG, like many of its British counterparts, found itself navigating a perfect storm of economic headwinds, labour unrest, and fierce competition. The brand that had once symbolised the pinnacle of driving enjoyment was now facing an existential crisis, its future hanging precariously in the balance. As the 1970s progressed, MG struggled to keep pace with the rapidly evolving automotive landscape. The brand's reliance on its traditional formula of lightweight sports cars, while still appealing to a core group of enthusiasts, was increasingly out of step with the demands of a changing market. The oil crisis had forced drivers to prioritize fuel efficiency, and MG's aging engine lineup, while brimming with character, struggled to compete with the more modern and economical designs of its Japanese rivals. Meanwhile, advancements in automotive technology, particularly in areas such as suspension design and safety features, left MG lagging behind its competitors. The once crisp handling and nimble performance that had defined the MG driving experience were now being surpassed by rivals offering a more refined and sophisticated ride. MG's interiors, once considered charmingly Spartan, were now seen as outdated and lacking the creature comforts that consumers had come to expect. Despite these challenges, MG's leadership seemed reluctant to stray too far from the brand's traditional strengths. New model introductions, while attempting to address some of the brand's shortcomings, often felt like half-hearted attempts to chase trends rather than bold strokes of innovation. The brand that had once been a pioneer in the sports car market was now struggling to find its footing in a world that seemed to be passing it by. In 1980, after an impressive production run that spanned nearly 2 decades, the curtain finally fell on the MGB. The car that had become synonymous with MG, the embodiment of its sporting heritage and its connection to a generation of driving enthusiasts, was no more. The MGB's demise was a poignant symbol of the challenges facing MG and the British auto industry as a whole. Declining sales, a result of increased competition and MG's struggle to adapt to changing market demands, had sealed the car's fate. The closure of the Abingdon factory, the spiritual home of MG for over 4 decades, marked the end of an era. It was a devastating blow to the brand's workforce, many of whom had dedicated their lives to building the cars that had brought joy to drivers around the world. The MGB's departure left a gaping hole in MG's lineup, one that would prove difficult, if not impossible, to fill. The brand had lost its flagship model, the car that embodied its essence and its connection to a glorious past. The road ahead for MG was uncertain, fraught with challenges that would test the brand's resilience and its ability to reinvent itself for a new era. Despite the challenges facing MG in the 1980s, the brand refused to go down without a fight. Under the auspices of the newly formed Austin Rover Group, MG attempted to reinvent itself, seeking to appeal to a wider audience while still staying true to its sporting roots. The MG Metro, launched in 1982, was a prime example of this new approach. Based on the popular Austin Metro city car, the MG version received a sporty makeover with a more powerful engine, stiffer suspension, and a host of cosmetic upgrades designed to inject some much-needed excitement into the brand. The MG Metro was a sales success, appealing to a younger audience drawn to its affordable price tag and sporty image. It proved that the MG badge still held a certain cachet, even in a market increasingly dominated by front-wheel drive hatchbacks. However, the MG Metro, while a step in the right direction, was not the savior the brand had hoped for. It lacked the character and driving purity of MG's classic sports cars, and it failed to fully shake off the image of being a mere badge-engineered version of its more mundane Austin sibling. The 1980s and early 1990s were a turbulent period for MG, marked by a series of ownership changes, shifting brand identities, and a constant struggle to find its place in a rapidly changing automotive landscape. The brand that had once been a symbol of British sporting prowess was now adrift, its future uncertain. The Austin Rover Group, formed from the remnants of the beleaguered British Leyland, struggled to compete with its more agile and better-funded rivals. MG, despite its best efforts, was often relegated to the role of a niche player, its models lacking the technological sophistication and refinement of their competitors. Despite these challenges, the MG name refused to fade away completely. The brand continued to produce cars that, while not always commercially successful, kept the spirit of MG alive. The MG RV8, a retro-inspired roadster that paid homage to the brand's classic designs, generated a buzz among enthusiasts, while the MGF, a mid-engine sports car, offered a glimmer of hope that MG could still build a true driver's car. However, these bright spots were too few and far between. MG's ownership passed from one company to another, each with its own vision for the brand, but none able to fully restore it to its former glory. As the 20th century drew to a close, MG's legacy hung in the balance, its future uncertain, its fate resting on the hope that someone, somewhere, could rekindle the magic that had once made it a true icon of the automotive world. The 1990s began with a glimmer of hope for MG, a flicker of the brand's former glory rekindled in the form of a retro-inspired roadster that paid homage to one of its most beloved models. The MG RV8, unveiled in 1992, was a bold statement, a declaration that MG, despite its recent struggles, was not ready to be consigned to the annals of automotive history. Inspired by the iconic MGB, the RV8 recaptured the classic proportions and timeless elegance of its predecessor, albeit with a modern twist. Its muscular curves, flared wheel arches, and wood-trimmed interior exuded a sense of timeless cool, a reminder of an era when driving was about more than just getting from point A to point B. Underneath its nostalgic exterior, the RV8 boasted modern underpinnings, including a potent V8 engine that delivered a satisfyingly throaty roar. Its performance, while not quite in the supercar league, was more than enough to put a smile on the face of any driving enthusiast, evoking the spirit of MG's glory days on the racetrack. The RV8 was a critical and commercial success, proving that there was still an appetite for a classically styled driver-focused sports car bearing the iconic MG Octagon badge. It was a shot in the arm for the brand, a much-needed boost of confidence that suggested MG's story was far from over. Section 2, a new generation, the MGGF, captures the spirit of fun. The RV8 appealed to nostalgic enthusiasts, but MG needed to attract a new generation valuing affordability, style and fun. Enter the MGF, a mid-engined roadster launched in 1995, a radical departure in design and engineering. Its compact dimensions, low-slung profile, and sculpted lines gave it a modern appearance. The mid-engined layout promised agility and responsiveness. The MGF delivered an exhilarating driving experience with its lightweight construction and balanced chassis. Its peppy engine provided ample punch for spirited driving and commuting. The MGF was a hit in the UK, popular among young drivers eager for adventure. Section 3, shifting sands, ownership changes and uncertain futures. Despite the success of the RV8 and MGF, the 1990s were turbulent for MG. The brand, under the struggling Rover Group, faced an uncertain future. In 1994, BMW acquired the Rover Group, including MG. BMW saw an opportunity to expand into the smaller car market and tap into MG's sporting heritage. However, the marriage between BMW and MG was uneasy. Cultural clashes and differing brand philosophies led to friction. BMW's attempts to integrate MG met resistance from MG's workforce and customers. By the decade's end, MG's future remained uncertain. BMW decided to divest itself of Rover, leaving MG in limbo. Section 4. The Phoenix Falls, the collapse of MG Rover. The new millennium dawned with foreboding for MG. BMW sold the Rover Group, including MG, to the Phoenix Consortium. The consortium vowed to revive MG but faced Herculean challenges. They struggled with an outdated model lineup and a shrinking domestic market. MG continued to produce cars, but in dwindling numbers. The MG ZS and MG ZT attempted to inject excitement but faced an uphill battle. In 2005, the Phoenix Consortium's efforts ended. The company went into administration, marking a significant collapse in British industrial history. The future of MG, once a symbol of British pride, hung in the balance. As the dust settled on the collapse of MG Rover, a new chapter began. From the ashes, a new MG emerged under Chinese stewardship. In 2005, Nanjing Automobile Group acquired MG Rover's assets. The move signaled China's ambition in the global automotive market. Nanjing wasted no time reviving the MG brand. They established a new headquarters in Longbridge and developed new MG cars. A new era for MG had begun, fraught with challenges and opportunities. Could a Chinese-owned MG recapture its British spirit? Only time would tell.